US President Donald Trump concluded his three-day visit to the United Kingdom on Wednesday. Trump's visit meant to strengthen ties with the British piqued an interest of the world, with some of his policies coming into the spotlight.
Trump's first day at the United Kingdom was marred by controversy following comments he had made about London Mayor Sadiq Khan. Trump labelled Khan as a stone-cold loser who had done a terrible job in London. His comments on the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, were also brought to the fore after he called her nasty.
No, the question was asked to me, and I didn't know that she said anything bad about me. It sounds like she did, and that's okay. I mean, hey, join the crowd, right? You've heard about that too with yourself. I know that, right? But it seems like she had, and they said some of the things that she said, and it's actually on tape. And I said, wow, I didn't know she was nasty. I wasn't referring to her, she's nasty. I said she was nasty about me. And essentially, I didn't know she was nasty about me. So I said, but you know what? She's doing a good job. I hope she enjoys her life.
Day 2 of Trump's visit focused mainly on his policies. Trump promised Britain a phenomenal post-Brexit trade deal, dismissed differences over China's Huawei, and glossed over other disagreements as he waxed lyrical on the United States' closest ally. Feted by Queen Elizabeth on the first day of his three-day state visit on Monday, Trump was effusive about the special relationship between the two nations, dispelling concerns that he might repeat criticism of Britain and outgoing Prime Minister Theresa May. Protests on the city streets of London were also part of the US president's visit. A giant inflatable blimp depicting Trump as a sneering baby in a diaper, as well as a giant robot depicting Trump sitting on a golden toilet and tweeting, joined thousands of people in central London demonstrating against the American leader's visit. But the numbers were well down on the tens of thousands who gathered to oppose his visit last year. The protesters have been largely kept away from Trump, with roads closed around Buckingham Palace and Downing Street. Trump said he was loved in Britain despite the protests. He said he was closer to Britain than any other American leader, citing his mother's Scottish roots and the 2 golf courses he owns in the country. He added that he had seen thousands of people on the streets cheering during his visit. Trump's state visit, promised by May back in January 2017 when she became the first foreign leader to meet him after he took office, has been cast as the chance to celebrate Britain's special relationship with the United States, boost trade links and reaffirm security cooperation.
The United Kingdom is also a key partner in NATO. The Prime Minister and I agree that our NATO allies must increase their defense spending. We've both been working very hard toward that end, and we are very current, and some of them are not. We can't allow that to happen, but I appreciate everything you've done in that regard. Among the pressing threats facing our nations is the development and spread of nuclear weapons. Perhaps that's our greatest threat. The United States and the United Kingdom are determined to ensure that Iran never develops nuclear weapons and stops supporting and engaging in terrorism.
The protests, however, got more heated on day 3 when police were forced into action as Trump supporters came face-to-face with protesters in Portsmouth. Police officers were forced to separate groups of people as Donald Trump supporters marched into Portsmouth's Guildhall Square, where a protest was taking place. Numerous police officers stood in between the 2 groups of protesters as they exchanged explicit chants. US President Donald Trump departed by plane after attending 75th anniversary commemorations of D-Day landings, which helped bring World War II to an end. Trump is heading to Ireland, where he will meet with Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar. He is also expected to visit the Dunberg Golf Resort he owns.
Well, for more on this story, we cross live to our UK correspondent Holly Hudson in London. A very good evening to you, Holly. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, at the conclusion of President Trump's UK visit, did it achieve what it intended to achieve?
Well, it's had an overall mixed reaction, I'd say. The president still remains a hugely divisive figure here. There have been big protests throughout the 3 days 75,000 turned out on the streets of London yesterday, more across the country. They followed him to Portsmouth today, but as you mentioned there in your report, there are as well supporters of Trump and protesting against the protest as such. Perhaps not the fake news that Donald Trump was tweeting, though. There weren't exactly thousands on the streets proclaiming their love for him. However, it's really a split, I suppose, between those who aren't happy that this president has been rolled out the red carpet on this state visit, describe him as a bully, somebody who is divisive, whose policies don't align with those of the UK, and those who think that we should be compromising to strengthen this special relationship. And that was a message that Theresa May was really trying to push, and many in her government as well. She, during her press conference yesterday, really noting the special relationship and the sort of partnership between the two. And in terms of Donald Trump, perhaps some of the issues that we thought might be the most contentious haven't actually blown up as much as we suspected. For example, Huawei, there's been no row over that. The president saying that the UK and the US can work out their differences over the telecoms company, and the US would not restrict intelligence sharing, something that has been threatened in the past. As well as that, he's also promised that he would work out differences over Iran, that they have the same purpose. However, that's not to say that that's the end of it necessarily with Donald Trump. Throughout this visit, we've already seen him backtrack on his comments on the NHS initially when asked about this phenomenal trade deal that he's promised with the UK and the US, whether he would want the NHS to be part of that. He said absolutely, it should be on the table, anything should be on the table. Since then, he said he wouldn't expect it to be, and that's possibly because it's provoked the most reaction here in the UK. It's caused MPs to sort of come to the fore and jump on that to say that the NHS is a complete red line, it's not for sale. So bit of a mixed reaction here in terms of what we expected from the president, but you do get a bit more of a sense that Britain is just accepting that Donald Trump is here to stay.
I mean, as I've just mentioned, during that news conference with Theresa May, he indicated that Britain's National Health Service would be on the table as part of a potential trade deal. But those comments were downplayed, or rather denounced, by the opposition leader, the Labour Party leader, Jeremy Corbyn. Do you think it would at some point see the light of day?
Well, the president is known for sort of turning back on several of his comments, particularly that on the NHS. We've already seen a huge U-turn here in the UK, and it's likely that he may well do the same with some other promises that he's made here on Iran or on Huawei, for example, not least because the Prime Minister is stepping down in the next few days, and we've seen him sort of look past Mrs May. As much as he had praise for her during those talks, during that press conference, he referred to her as somebody who deserves a lot of credit, who he's enjoyed working with. But there's no doubt that he's already sort of looking forward to her replacement. He's held one-on-one meetings with several of the leadership contenders to replace her, Michael Gove, Jeremy Hunt, even actually turning to her in the press conference to ask her view, but a pretty unprecedented, extraordinary exchange there that maybe was overlooked because Theresa May is stepping down.
And the fact that he referred to the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, as being nasty, how likely would that ruffle feathers at Buckingham Palace? And would it be, in any case, denting the UK-US ties?
Well, as much as I'm saying that Donald Trump, the issues that we maybe thought were most contentious haven't blown up as much as we thought, of course, this is Donald Trump, so he has ruffled feathers. He did so before he even touched down on British soil with his comments about the London Mayor Sadiq Khan, calling him a stone-cold loser. That feud has been ongoing throughout this 3-day state visit and prompted a lot of anger from MPs as well, in supporting the view that he is a bully, and he has now attacked even the London mayor. Of course, you mentioned there the comments about Meghan Markle. He has again backtracked on that, saying that he didn't refer to Meghan Markle as nasty as such, just that she was nasty about those comments that he made. So as well as that, we know that he's waded into the Tory leadership debate, endorsing certain candidates such as Boris Johnson. He's had one-on-one meetings with the populist leader of the Brexit party, Nigel Farage, something that again has ruffled feathers, many not enjoying the fact that a US president has sort of waded into British politics as much as this. They think that that is not acceptable.
And the fact that his behavior wasn't such a big deal on the news radar, I mean, doesn't that perhaps reflect the extent to which Trump's behavior has become so normalized?
Yes, exactly. I really do think that there is a sense here in Britain that as much as the sort of anger and even over the invitation to Donald Trump itself has caused protests and obviously is still a very divisive figure, there is a sense that Britain needs to sort of get used to this president, that this is, and he did sort of be on his best behaviour in many ways. As much as he ruffled feathers, he did manage to get through a whole day with the royals observing protocol. And of course, he himself has tweeted saying that this has gone as well as it possibly could. The special relationship is stronger than ever. He's promising this phenomenal trade deal with the UK. This has been an incredible success, and he even described it as one of the highlights of his life. We know how much he has wanted to enjoy the pomp and ceremony that Britain can put on for him, and that's no doubt going to win Britain some favour in the weeks, even years potentially to come. But there are a lot of moving pieces here. There's going to be a new Prime Minister. Brexit is still unresolved. The President giving us his views on that already as well. So it remains to be seen whether the special relationship and the promises and the way the President's been during this trip will continue.
All right, Holly, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. That was our UK correspondent, Holly Hudson, joining us from London, United Kingdom.